Now, let's take a look at the word problem. And you will notice I've got that green box from 498 on this page. It says inequalities can be used to represent real world situations. You will want to first identify a variable to represent the unknown quantity. And if you remember, as we've been doing equations with word problems, the first step is always to find what we're looking for. So we always identify a variable first as what we're trying to find. Number two, I said find the total. Number three, we find the other parts, which are constants and coefficients. And I should say and or coefficients. We're going to still continue to do that. We're still going to follow those steps. So let's take a look at example number 4. Dylan has $18 to ride go-karts and play games at the state fair. Suppose the go-karts are $5.50. Write and solve an inequality to find the most he can spend on games. So what are we trying to find? It says find the most he can spend on games. So what variable would I want to stand for that? Some of you are going, G, because of games. I don't think so. We want that to be either an M or a D because we're talking about money. M equals money to spend on games. So when we get our answer, it's going to be with a dollar sign, not with games behind it, because it's money. So step number 1, we've identified our variable as M, the amount of money he has to spend on games. Secondly, we need to find the total. It says Dylan has $18 to ride go-karts and play games. This is just the amount of money he has. So that's going to be our total. When you find your total in an inequality problem, you're going to have to ask yourself, is that the maximum amount of money he has, the most amount of money he has, or is that the least amount of money he's going to spend, or the least amount of money he's going to have? And in this problem, the $18 is the most he has. It's the most. He cannot spend more than $18. He's got $18 in his wallet when he goes to the fair. If he spends more than $18, how is he going to do it? He's going to have to go to work, right? So it is the most. So when we write our total down, remember, we always had the equal sign next to it and the total by itself. Well, the same thing's going to be true with our inequality sign. But this time, we have to decide, is that bigger or is that smaller? And since $18 is the most, that's the biggest thing in this problem. That means the alligator's going to eat the $18. So before you go and find constants and coefficients and try to write our variable into our inequality, determining whether that total is big or that total is small is extremely important. So 18 is the most. And you will notice over here, at most says it's less than. Notice that is the symbol I used with the little pointing to the right. The number 18 is greater, but the variable, which is going to be on the left-hand side, is smaller. But you will also notice, and I kind of drew the circle over it, that also has the equal bar with it. Can he spend the entire $18? Sure he can. He doesn't have to save any of it. So we will include the equal bar. And you're going to find that in the majority of the word problems that you see coming out of this book and on tests this year, it's going to have the equal bar with it. It's not going to be less than or greater than. So now that we've determined our total is greater than or equal to everything else, the amount of money he can spend, let's figure out what this $5.50 is. It says, suppose the go-karts cost $5.50. So is that a number that we're going to multiply times the money we have to spend on games, or is that a one-time cost to ride the go-karts? Yeah, it's a one-time cost to ride the go-karts. So we're going to add that $5.50 to the amount of money he spends. And the amount of money he spends on games is M. So our inequality ends up being the cost of the games plus the $5.50 he spends on go-karts. Let's solve that. We subtract $5.50 from both sides. Be sure to line up your decimal points. Remember, $18 is a whole amount of dollars. So I wrote $5 instead of $5.50. So make sure you line up your decimal points over here on the right-hand side. $5.50 minus $5.50 equals 0. So those cross off, leaving me with the amount of money he has to spend on games being equal to or less than $18 minus $5.50, which if we borrow correctly, whoops, I don't need to borrow there, my fault. If we borrow correctly, as Mr. Man was not going to do, we get 0, 10 minus 5 is 50, and then 17 minus 5 is 12, $12.50. Then we need to put this into a sentence. And we would say, Dylan can spend no more than $12.50 on games. Dylan can spend no more than $12.50 on games. Okay, so go ahead and complete those letter problems. Notice I will not ask you to write graphs on the word problems. There's enough work there for you to do. We will only graph the basic problems. So go ahead and do the letter problems.